Hi, it's Jacob. Right now, a lot of you are anxiously awaiting admissions decisions, or you're trying to make a decision. More on that later this week. Or you're just getting started on your college or graduate school application journey. Now, with everything going on, you're bound to have a lot of questions about how the coronavirus is going to affect you. So, in a lot of ways, the admissions cycle never really ends. As one group gets its acceptance letters, the next slogs through the entrance exams and dreads their applications, particularly the essays. And there's no precedent for our current predicament. A ton of variables are in play, both at the institutional and at the program level. So I'm going to tell you what I know, and what I think are some reasonable conclusions to draw based on the needs and behavior of colleges and universities. I'm breaking it into two categories of students affected: those finishing the process and those beginning the process. And let's start first about those beginning the process. Now, I already have some videos out about testing for both graduate and undergraduate students, and also about how to best use your new flexibility because of the online stuff to boost your applications. Check them out in the links below. As far as the rite of passage, the college visit goes, colleges have obviously suspended those, as well as info sessions. And I'll be honest with you, to me, it's not a big deal. People often have skewed priorities when they look at colleges. All too often, students and families look at colleges like they're buying a home. The natural beauty of the campus should not be a primary consideration, for example. Intangibles should rank far behind things like brand name, quality, size, location, and value. Rank those in any order you choose, but for most students, those should be the key variables. Now, a part of me, the cynical part, I don't know if you picked up on that already, dislikes college tours. Campus visits are the keystone of every college's recruitment effort. Marketing and business journals publish papers on how colleges can financially maximize the impact of their college tours. And specialized consultants ply their trade on campuses nationwide. They are choreographed, polished pieces of salesmanship, not holistic pictures of the institution. One study even found an inverse correlation between the importance of the tour in making a decision and the student's ultimate satisfaction. In other words, the more important the student found the tour, the less happy they were with their choice of college. Now, the other part of me thinks that tours are important for several reasons. Tours make the college process feel real to students and families. I think there's something to be said for walking around campus and getting a feel for what you like and don't like. There's valuable information on tours and in presentations, and most of all, the conversations students have with their families on the way to and from tours make a world of difference. It is good for both students and parents to discuss money, logistics, independent life, and the future. So what do? Well, get online and have a look around at what colleges have to show you, especially 2-3 weeks from now, because colleges and media companies are working nonstop to roll out augmented online campus tours. And you're less likely to fall for any whitewashing in an online format than in person. But don't stop with the official sources. Get on Reddit or discussion boards and see what current and former students say, especially students in your program or major. If you're hard set on real campus tours, cross your fingers, but I think it's likely that those tours will resume this summer. Most importantly, have those all-important conversations. You won't be having them in the car, but they work just as well in the living room. If you're stuck on your applications and you can't get going, remember this is your life, and ultimately it's your responsibility. It's a gigantic task, so break it down, the task of choosing where to apply and how you'll apply into small actionable steps, and take one every day. It's also true that we put off things we're afraid of. I know I do it all the time. So you may want to think about what's holding you back. Remember, we suffer a lot more in our imagination than we do in reality. If you feel like you need an objective perspective, contact us. Now, as far as activities, interviews, volunteering, and everything else goes, please do not stress that your spring season musical community service project is canceled. Everyone is in the same position. Choose to see it as something freeing and find some new and interesting things to do. Not only will new activities give you new skills, hopefully for life, but you'll probably have something interesting to put down on your application. You may even get an essay out of it. At the end of the day, Netflix binges do not turn into acceptance letters, and I don't even know what TikTok is. Alumni interviews for colleges are often conducted via phone or Skype, and if in-person interviews aren't possible, those options will be available. More meaty graduate and professional school interviews may take the same road. As far as volunteering goes, it's a bit trickier. You kind of want to get out there and try to distinguish yourself and help out your community in this time. But at the same time, asymptomatic young people were largely responsible for spreading the virus in China. Use discretion, be careful, if not for yourself then for others, and consider ways to limit your exposure. High school folks, the AP and IB exams haven't announced any changes yet, so plan that they are going on as scheduled. That said, you're going to need to work harder and smarter to get the scores you want. As things develop, I'll revisit this issue. In the interim, if you needed help with advanced coursework, contact us. We cover about everything. If you're a college student, nail your grades this summer. If you have grades, it's likely your college and your university will go to pass-fail for the semester, but don't bank on it. If they do go pass-fail, don't coast. This is particularly true in courses in your major and requiring cumulative knowledge. If you're taking pre-calc and you know you have to take calculus, don't use online calculators to do your homework, quizzes, and exams. It's going to put you at a serious disadvantage in the next term. College students, don't worry that you can't work in the lab or with your political science professor or as a TA. Again, everyone else is suffering the same fate. Continue looking for summer research programs or internships if you haven't secured one, and plan as though those will go off unaffected. Again, you're all in the same boat. So use this time productively to work, explore, and develop. This is an opportunity, unless you're an admissions professional. This is not a good climate for graduate admissions officers or their undergrad counterparts, but I don't expect any immediate action. Colleges and universities are taking COVID very seriously, but there's not enough for them to act at this juncture that will affect the upcoming application cycle. And furthermore, they have bigger fish to fry. March is a big month for college admissions, particularly at schools of moderate to high selectivity. And right now, colleges and graduate school admissions officers are preoccupied with filling last year's class. They will stay focused on next year's class while they wait on everything else to settle out. Now let's talk about you guys that are waiting on acceptances. I often tell families that the admissions process is a black box. Colleges don't publicize what they do more than they have to. Further, there's usually a bit of cognitive dissonance, sometimes dishonesty, between what colleges say and what they do. But colleges have a very, very predictable need, which allows us to partially predict their behavior. Like Goldilocks, admissions officers need to convert the just right number of accepted students into attending students. They accept more than they want. Too many accept, and you've got colleges scrambling to convert dorms, deal with classroom sizes, and a host of other logistical issues. Too cold, and there aren't enough bodies, and colleges run a fiscal deficit with underpopulated dorms and half-empty classes. That's dangerous in this time of public funding. At present, colleges are moving more of their admitted student days online, and post-admission visits are off the table. These are great sales tools for the colleges and for grad programs, and admissions officers have to be losing sleep over how their numbers will be affected. Now, while few, if any, colleges will have a comparative advantage over their peers in this environment, admission officers have to wonder what the effect will be. Without that second pitch of admitted student day to give to students and families, will students trend towards the familiar, towards the close? And I do think the effect will be greater on colleges and universities that pull students from farther away, both domestically and internationally. These are highly selective and selective institutions in general, and if the crisis drags on, students may stick closer to home or pursue an online education, at least initially. Larger universities, typically public, have the infrastructure in place to combat that by offering up to 2 years of credits online, and smaller, well-funded colleges can transition quickly. Money always plays. Colleges are also starting to respond to the lack of an admitted student stay again, we covered this earlier, but they're creating augmented virtual reality tours and things like that to recreate the campus experience as closely as possible. Administrators are producing their presentations in shortened video form to deal with the reduced attention span people have when watching videos. And most importantly, colleges are beginning to extend their acceptance deadlines after May 1st. And while I don't think the whole situation will result in additional financial aid for students, if you accept early, you may get an added boost in scheduling options and housing your freshman year. If people are accepting slower, if you accept quicker, you're bound to be closer to the front of the line. I think this could be a really advantageous year to be on the waiting list. There's going to be more reshuffling than usual, and more students may come off the waiting list and be accepted. So if you're on a waiting list and you really want to go there, continue to communicate with the college, but do so tactfully and strategically. Contact us for help. One note about graduate school admissions. Graduate school programs are either likely to be almost unaffected or very much affected. Programs that pull a high percentage of international students, a lot of business schools do that, will be scrambling because of practical as well as travel reasons and other potential issues like the TOEFL is not currently being administered. Regional programs or programs that have more of a domestic appeal should be relatively unaffected. Some programs at the graduate level have difficulty or it'll be impossible to move the parts or all of their curriculum online. This is especially true of medical, PA, and PT school. Now, it seems illogical, but smaller class sizes are at greater risk of under or over enrollment. A smaller law school or med school with a first-year class of about 100, if they drop 20 students, that's 20%. You can imagine the effect on a grad program of 50 or less. Now, whether this will result in grad students relaxing admissions and bringing students off the bubble is an unanswerable question, and it's going to be up to each program to make that determination. I don't think that we may ever have an idea of what they're doing wholesale because I think there'll be too much variance. I hope this was helpful. Take solace in the fact that you're not alone in this, and know that colleges and universities are doing their best to respond. You do your best to respond to this adversity by continuing to work hard. Thank you, good luck, and stay healthy.